mods can't actually predict anything, so I'm never able to place any bets.
They changed that recently. Did you not hear? So now mods can bet, but they can't. But they can't resolve bets if they bet in the thing. That's how it works
Fair.
now. So, which it makes sense. The mods can't like make bets to give themselves points. However, you know, we as players now do have, or as mods now have that ability to bet if needed. However, we do have some players that we might want to introduce.
That we do.
And so spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, as I hopefully you're ready. He is the blue American Terran with lots of experience playing for Alpha X. Let's give it up for Vindicta.
And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Death Aura LE, we have the American Protoss player. He is red, representing Genesis Gaming. It is PiLiPiLi. And everyone in the chat, place your bets.
Yeah, place your bets. Kuro finally has something to spend their points on, other than contributing to the Spanish intros.
Yeah.
As this time, once again, no proxy racks. A little disappointed in Vindicta. Wow, English is hard, not gonna lie. But still plenty of opportunities for him to cast this series, and so...
Definitely. Yeah, I have faith. I have faith in Miguel for him to whip out those proxies. I'm surprised, you know, I feel like Death Aura is a little bit of a more common map to see something like that. But yeah, so far, everything is at home.
Yeah, and there's that opportunity, and there is that potential where it's like, hey, you know, that went so well for you in your game on Death Aura. Why don't I try it? And goes for that same proxy with the factory tank push. But you know, we'll have to wait and see, as there is plenty of time something like that to happen. As you know, just for now, depot made in the wall and fairly normal things going down from both players, at least so far.
Yeah, and what's interesting is that Vindicta kind of like Semper also opted to skip that initial Reaper and instead going straight for a Reactor.
Yeah, and he also, interestingly enough, I don't think he even made a Marine, and so pure Reactor first is not something you see every day from Terran players. However, it is a good way to get you just a lot more Marines than earlier than you necessarily would, as you know, you have 2 Marines already at like the 225 mark. And they're moving out, and so maybe Vindicta, is he going for that? I don't know. He's just trying to get his first ramp. Okay.
Yeah, just trying to get that extra DPS and catch anything that decides to go up the ramp, whether it's an Adept, whether it's a Probe. So he is kind of securing his position here. Meanwhile, we do have 2 more Marines coming out, and he's looking to go for that switch and land that factory on that Reactor.
Yeah, and so looking to be maybe some sort of Marine Hellion pressure, as a starport only now just getting started, and so, you know, fairly normal things is Reactored Hellions aren't something you see too often, and with the shield battery and the stalker in the wall, I feel like this is going to be a pretty good defense, as that is, yeah, that's a Dark Shrine.
I love it. So PiLiPiLi, he did open up with a Twilight Council, but unlike a Disc, he did not opt to go for that early blink. Instead, it is just a tech building, so he can go for that Dark Shrine here hidden in the natural. And again, Vindicta, he hasn't scattered at all, really, this game, other than his additional SCV, so he has no idea that it's on its way, but he is pushing out with his Marines.
Yes, those Marines and the Hellions, they are on the way, and they're going to try and get something done as, oh, there's nothing in the wall right now, just a probe, and you can DPS down a probe very quickly.
Go. Can you do it in time? Wow.
Oh, nice. And he gets in. He's going to see that Dark Shrine, at least I hope he does, as the Super Battery is going to do quite a bit to keep things alive, and come on, please, just click on the Dark Shrine.
Oh god, I imagine he did. Meanwhile, the probes were lining up. Only 1 Hellion does survive in the end, but the damage has been done. Not just the damage, but as you were saying, the scouting information.
Yeah, that scouting information is absolutely huge. With a Raven on the way, I'm loving Vindicta's position here, as PiLiPiLi, you know, looking to be needing to get something done more than what he might get with this Raven already nearly done.
Exactly, exactly. We do see the DTs are already morphing in here with this War Prism. It looks like they will hit before the Raven pops out, but as we can see, there is plenty of energy on this CC in the natural. He has enough for a scan.
On the immediate pull, I love this. They're gonna drop on top of the siege tank. And he gets a siege tank, which is nice, but still, I'd like to see more as he's trying to get him once again, but...
Yeah, and you know what? There's only one Raven, so now he's splitting up the attention of Vindicta. One DT does go down in the natural, but two more get dropped in the main base. How much damage can they get done? They do snipe a couple of SCVs.
Yeah, but it's only a couple. Stalling where he can is PiLiPiLi getting something done, which is always nice. However, with DT Blank, PiLi deciding to double down. You know what? Yeah, DTs and charge lots. That's the way we'll do it.
I love it. I love it. So PiLiPiLi, he is committing to the DTs, and honestly, already he has dealt some damage, right? Like, killing that tank was pretty huge earlier, and if you have enough DTs, you can just blink on forward, get on top of a tank, and just one-shot it.
Exactly. As the DTs, they are trying to get that bunker. They do a lot of damage, but it's going to be repaired up by an SCV-4 now, and so... instead of having to wait really for that DT blink to finish before getting much more done, as these two stalkers are kind of wandering around, maybe trying to pick off a stray Raven, but keeping that Raven at home is Vindicta, which I really like.
Definitely, definitely. I also like that he already has his third done here in the main base, turning it into an orbital. Well, he does scan just to make sure there's no crazy tech going on. And he actually sees the Dark Shrine researching, so he should be aware that Blink is on the way.
Yes, hopefully. It's fairly easy to miss, as you don't often see a researching Dark Shrine. So sometimes just like, hey, that kind of looks odd. But regardless of that, that is so many DTs, and he's just blinking into the main base. Oh
yeah, he's getting ready. That's, as you were saying, that's so many DTs. Oh god, that tank is not long for this world, and because the amount of DTs, it's possible that he could even go toe-to-toe with the Marines.
Yeah, he is trying to get forward. Oh, the disable on the... Warp Prism, that is huge. The Warp Prism is actually just going to completely die, and these DTs are kind of stuck.
That was huge. That was amazing. That was sexy. That was beautiful by Vindicta. Meanwhile, the DTs, they do blink on top of the tank. The tank immediately does go down. So does the bunker, but there's plenty here, and the DTs will fall.
Yeah, the DTs, they trade out, but not good enough. His turret also finishing up. There's that massive charge attack in the natural. Meanwhile, and the tank in the natural trying to be repaired as best it can. But it looks like maybe it just will barely go down. However, the Warp Prism, the Warp Prism even gets away. Nicely done by PiLiPiLi.
Yeah, I was not expecting the double Warp Prism play, and oh my god, even gets another warp in of DTs and charge lots. A lot of damage has already been done. Only one tank remaining here for Vindicta, and if that tank falls, then things could start to snowball, but PiLiPiLi does pull back.
Yes, there is still like more Warp Prisms being made. I love this. PiLiPiLi diving into the main base once again, blinks on top of the tank, and the tank goes down. The charge lots, they unload, and the Viking is probably going to be able to pick off the Warp Prism, but these DTs are doing absolutely massive damage to the Bio-Army in the natural, and they will, yes, get cleaned up. However, there's just still more DTs in the main base, and Zealot's doing more damage.
This is disgusting, mate. This is... oh my god, to see... oh my god, and we have another massive warp in. Is there a Matrix? There is, but it's too late. The warp in finishes.
Oh no, someone call Fear Dragon. This is his kind of game, as an absolutely stupid amount of Zealots and Dark Templar.
Robbie, get out of the game. Just get out of here. Bring back PiLiPiLi.
16 DTs have gone down so far. Let's make that an even 20. As more units are getting warped in, and there's no disable, just charge lots. And these charge lots today are on top of this Terran army. It's still 12 SCVs have gone down. But it is not enough.
GG gets called. Was it premature though? PiLiPiLi was almost double the amount of workers of his opponent, but again, he had no tech, right? Like, he was investing everything in those DTs, trying to end the game, trying to snowball and just end it then and there. But yeah, Vindicta was just barely able to hold on.
Wow. Yeah, nicely done by Vindicta. PiLiPiLi opting for a much more aggressive opener than Disc had in any of his games, and I really liked the aggressive opener that PiLiPiLi went for. However, he's going to need something a little different, as I don't think just pretending you're Fear Dragon and going mass blink ET charge slot is gonna be the thing that wins you this series.
I mean, it almost worked. Like the MVP of that game was Vindicta's Raven. Like, when that Matrix went off and when it canceled the Warp In and the Warp Prism went down, like that was huge. Like, oh,
Absolutely massive. And I still feel like PiLiPiLi had a good shot in that game. Like maybe that GG was a little premature, as he did have like a good worker counter while he was down a base, technically speaking.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest thing. Like, he was ahead in workers, as you were saying, but I mean, there was already a third orbital, right? So Vindicta could relatively quickly catch back up. But I agree, maybe premature there by PiLiPiLi. I just love the contrast between this series and the previous series. Like, you can tell we're in America right now. Like, that's what that's what we are.
Land of the cheese, home of the insane. As what a way to open up a game number one. And we are waiting a little bit for PiLiPiLi, as he did say he wanted a minute. But man, I am really curious what else PiLiPiLi has in store for us today, as he definitely is an interesting player.
Yeah, maybe Uber Eats is at the door, so he's gonna go and get his pizza. I hope that if that's the case, I hope that that's not the reason why PiLiPiLi GG'd out. That's my worry in the back of my mind, because we've been in that scenario before. I always tell this story whenever I can because it's ridiculous. We were casting, I believe it was a PvP between Patience and Creator in the ESL Open Cup Asia, and Patience was winning. He was up like 50 supply, and then randomly there was a GG, and it was mid-series. It was game one. It was game one of a best of three, and we were like, what happened? And he's like, sorry, there was food at the door. Let's get into game two. And I'm like, there's a pause feature, right? Like, God damn it.
Yeah, maybe a little bit left over. That's an interesting one. I hadn't heard that. Maybe a little bit left over of like the Kespa days where pausing for not a technical difficulty was frowned upon. But like it's in the ESL Cup. Like, I'm sure Creator and the casters will understand taking 2 minutes to go to your door. Okay.
Just hashtag patience things, man. Like, it was like he was winning the game. That's the thing. Like, he was ahead. Like, he was looking so good. And god damn it.
I gotta ask, did he win the series though?
I remember it went to the ace match. He won the following game. I can't remember. He may have lost the series. Like,
losing the series because there's food at your door is never like I don't know if that's the play.
Shaking my head.
Definitely shaking my head, as well as our next map is going to be Lightshade when we get into it, but still waiting on PiLiPiLi. We are.
Yeah, I hope everything's okay. I hope it isn't some major emergency. I hope everything's going well for PiLiPiLi. I actually haven't checked. Is PiLiPiLi streaming his POV?
He might be. I'm not actually sure. Let's check.
Yeah, because PiLiPiLi. Oh, he actually is. Yeah.
He is. Yeah. Okay. We can check on PiLiPiLi if you want. If you want that first-person view, feel free to check out his stream. He is a streamer, streams every day, but no spoilers in the chat, please.
Yeah, exactly. So if you want to tune into that POV, you can. PiLiPiLi is streaming it. Of course, I don't think he has a 2-minute delay like we do. So, again, we don't tolerate any spoilers here in the chat. Keep them to yourself for now as we get into game number 2 of the series.
Yes, loading into Lightshade. I'm very, very curious what will happen in this game, as honestly, that was such a weird and wild game one that I have to kind of give props to it. But spawning here in the top left-hand corner, let's give it up for Alpha X's Blue American Terran of Vindicta.
And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Lightshade LE, we have the American Protoss player. He is representing Genesis Gaming. GG. It is PiLiPiLi.
Once again, no really fast proxies. Slightly disappointed, but you know, maybe since he won game number 1, it's like, I'll just play like a little safe, and I don't mind if I don't do the 100% win rate build of proxying a couple racks across the map. And we do have a normal macro game on our hands, at least so far. But
we better get a proxy racks at some point today. Like, I'm good. Like, mate, it's gonna happen.
I would be very disappointed if in none of our games there was no proxy racks. As this probe is getting in, it's seeing, hey, everything looks fairly normal, and then the SVV will also go and see that things are basically normal, as that Nexus is now going down for PiLiPiLi.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm really curious to see what PiLiPiLi has in store for us, because, again, especially based off of the previous game, PiLiPiLi, he's not just a really good player, he's also an entertainer. Like, he's streaming right now, he reminds you a lot of Nina. Nina does something very similar in weekly tournaments where she's willing to just kind of, like, have a little bit of fun while competing as well for the audience, so I'm looking forward to what PiLiPiLi has in store for us.
Oh, and speaking of things that PiLiPiLi has in store for us, what he needs to have in store is a defense for this this bunker, as he has seen absolutely nothing. And the Reaper's going to get across the map and get into that bunker. And if it goes unscouted, which it looks like it will, oh man, that might not be good.
Yeah, it's really annoying to deal with this. You need like a shield battery and a stalker to help deal with this. And the point of what Vindicta is going for here with this bunker isn't to deny and cancel the natural, but it is to deny all the mining at the natural for as long as possible.
Yes, and delaying that natural mining for as long as possible, even getting a good amount of damage on that pylon before dipping and diving into that bunker. And nicely done. To get that probe and get into the bunker, and so that Reaper is doing so much work. I love it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And as we see, a shield battery does go down, as you need a shield battery alongside your stalkers to deal with this, otherwise you run the risk of losing a stalker. But we do see a second stalker pop up, and the focus fire isn't there, so it looks like eventually PiLiPiLi will deal with this, but oh my god, it's even being repaired.
I love it, and the SCV doesn't go down. Nicely done by Vindicta, keeping things alive, and the micro, literally a god.
Oh my god, one of the stalkers almost goes down. I'm sure Vindicta wants it, but the shield battery does finish up. Oh my god.
Yes, and the Reaper gets into the main base, and it's going to scout that this is a Blink build, and while Vindicta has to be worried that PvP is once again going for some sort of DT thing, you can kind of guess that since he did see it researching, that it's probably just like a Blink build. However, the fact that that potential for the DTs is there should worry Vindicta at least a little bit.
Yeah, it would have to be a massive, a giga brain play from PiLiPiLi if he was going DTs and he started Blink just to fake out his opponent, to later cancel it. But yeah, like Vindicta, he saw it researching, he should be relatively safe, or he should be aware that, you know, DTs probably aren't on the way. It should be a little bit more standard, as he is pushing out with his Marines and 2 Hellions again.
Yeah, this is, I feel like, a very similar push that we have seen already a couple of times today, as this time there are a bunch of stalkers, though, and they just kind of kill all the Marines and shoo everyone away. And with Blink not finishing up, you can maybe Blink after those Hellions, but Cloak Banshees, that is something you don't see every day.
Ooh, I love it. You know, a bit of a 1-1-1 from Vindicta going for those Cloak Banshees. It does mean that, like, obviously PiLiPiLi, he will be focusing on his Stalker production, so he will have some anti-air, and he even has an Observer, so he does have the tools at his disposal to deal with this. It's whether or not he is in position.
And with those stalkers blinking, Vindicta knows 100% you're not doing like some weird zealot charge it all in. It's not a fake out DT. It is indeed a blink stalker opener, and with that first Banshee out and another one on the way, I'm liking the potential that Vindicta has with these Banshees. And you know, there's always a chance that he pulls a bunch of SCVs with the second Banshee coming out in the tank and just like kind of moving across the map. But while the potential is there, we're going to have to wait and see what exactly is in store for him. As with that many bunkers, I feel like he might just be playing defensive.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, right now he is set up for Blink Stalkers, right? Whether they blink into the main or into the natural, like he has a nice spread of tanks ready to defend. And honestly, I'm sure he's hoping that the Stalkers go across the map so they aren't at home to deal with the Banshees. But we see the Banshee does reveal itself and the Stalkers are here to fend it off.
Yeah, and Cloak is done, and Stalkers are blinking after this Banshee, and it looks like the Banshee will get out just fine. I'm going to hide in the corner. at least for now, as the Stalkers are going to stare at it menacingly. Meanwhile, there's another Banshee moving downwards towards that bottom side of the map, and with just kind of a normal macro game developing in front of us.
Yeah, only two Banshees were made, and right now PiLiPiLi, he has a Detection and Stalkers at his third. He also has Stalkers and a Shield Battery and Detection at the main, so he should be perfectly fine against these Banshees. Hopefully Vindicta is able to keep both Banshees alive and maybe dive in later on as the game progresses to maybe catch PiLiPiLi off guard and finally get some probe damage. Oh god.
Oh, please no, the Observer doesn't get pulled very quickly, and so the Banshee is able to stay alive. However, taking like some pot shots is never really a great feeling when your Banshees are both orange health, having gotten basically nothing done. And with PiLiPiLi ahead at like by 9 workers, I'm slightly worried for Vindicta, as that third CC isn't or is done, but it isn't landed yet. And so slightly worrying, but should be fine.
Yeah, we do have all his upgrades on the way, and he should eventually take his third base. When he does, we do have an Observer here positioned for PiLiPiLi to catch that. It could go down due to this missile turret providing some detection and the Marines chasing it down, so maybe PiLiPiLi will be a little bit in the dark. And speaking of being in the dark, once again, PiLiPiLi is going for that Dark Shrine.
Yes, I love it. I'd love to see Blink DTs once again, as I feel like they're underutilized as a unit. And he can't. Oh, PiLiPiLi, you make me sad.
What? Feels bad, man.
All right, it happens. In changing his mind, he's like, you know what? Now I'll play more standard. Let's not meme too hard. I can't I can't be the Harlem Globetrotters every game. Occasionally, you have to play slightly more normal than that, as that Templar Archive finishing up now, so the potential for Archons on Storm is there. And I feel like this is a somewhat scary army and move out by PiLiPiLi, as I'm not sure if Vindicta's properly set up for it yet.
Yeah, he's not really set up to protect his third base whatsoever. And with 10 gateways, we're going to see massive warp-ins here for PiLiPiLi as he pushes on forward. It doesn't have any AoE, like he doesn't have any Colossus or Disruptors as the backbone of his army, but still there's just so many just pure gateway units here that Vindicta, he's forced to lift up his third.
Man, that third base is probably going to have to move to the top side, at least for now. But instead, he is trying to get a tank more forwardly positioned and retake it. Interesting call, but I'll go for it. Getting more tanks in the area, and with these tanks sieged up, I'm liking his position now. And oh, that's huge.
Oh god, yeah, we do have some zealots going around behind the army, but it does get spotted by the Marines, so Vindicta should be aware to make sure he doesn't get caught off guard in the natural or anything crazy like that. So far, he has been able to retake his base. Does he have enough to really go toe-to-toe with this army? Potentially. Like, that's a lot of tanks.
Yeah, that is indeed a lot of tanks. However, there aren't any tanks in the natural here, as group of bio. Oh yeah, he does shove off of the third base, and the group of bio does force to come back and forth. Oh, that is a huge warp. Oh, but it gets cleaned up. It gets picked off.
Oh god, the warp prism. Yeah, it does go down. The warp-in does get denied. The Zealot run by only killed 4 SCVs. I thought it was going to be a lot worse, to be honest, but Vindicta was able to clean everything up, and he forces PiLiPiLi back.
Yes, I love that. And with that fourth base up, PiLiPiLi now has to sort of play that defensive game, as he really wants to get that fourth base up. As Protoss, generally speaking, likes to be ahead of Terran in this matchup, at least by like half a base, if not a full base. Very similar to Zerg in ZVP and ZVT, as his army is kind of moving forward once again for PiLiPiLi, and getting a little bit caught out. Vindicta really has to be by his siege tanks if he wants to fight this army to his maximum effectiveness.
Yeah, definitely. And the big difference is that now PiLiPiLi is pushing out, and he has 4 High Templar in that War Prism. Storm is already done, so now he does have that AoE to really just lay siege upon everything, or all Terran. Meanwhile, at the same time, Vindicta is going for a double drop into the main. Oh, that Robo is so exposed!
Oh, he might be hitting the Robo because there's a shield battery nearby, but I feel like he could still get it. The super battery gets turned on, but that's only really buying him time, as that Robo's getting lower and lower, and the army it picks up and gets out. Oh, he gets out too, even nice.
Oh god, he is able to escape at the same time. Oh my god, I think we missed it, but I believe the War Prism was sniped. It was taken out.
Yeah, the War Prism, I think it got caught by that double drop, maybe, or not 100% sure what exactly happened there, but regardless, really well done by.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, I didn't see the War Prism and I saw one dead and the units lost, but it's okay, it's okay. It does survive. Storm is still available. He was so close. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to snipe that Robo. Oh god, it would have been huge if he was able to do so. Now he's pushing out. He does have Ghost, does have that Ghost upgrade.
And he has Tank Siege very far forward as the fight does begin. He's just able to shell so hard, but the Storms...
The Storm does land, but you know what? The War Prism got taken out, and there was only one Storm. And with the tanks shelling away at this army, Vindicta is pushing on forward.
He's repositioning the tanks here. I like this moving forward. Oh, he's moving back. Vindicta opting. You know what? I'll play the 100% safe play as opposed to maybe making some sort of aggressive risk. Vindicta backing up, deciding, hey, let's try and secure my fourth base. Let's just not do something too aggressive that might lose the whole army in the game. But that's giving PiLiPiLi so much time on 4 bases, and do you really want to give a Protoss player like so much time?
That's the thing. I do feel like if Vindicta was maybe just rallying across the map, he maybe could have broken PiLiPiLi here at the 4th. He just had so much momentum going his way. He decisively won that fight, but instead of Vindicta, he does back off. He's a little bit afraid. Instead, he's taking his 4th base. He still has plenty of tanks, but they aren't in the most ideal position. They are quite bunched up, and now PiLiPiLi, he's getting ready. He's going for round 2. He's pushing out again.
Yeah, PiLiPiLi, he's got a very scary army here. He's got a bunch of High Templar in that Warp Prism, and I believe each of them have a couple of Storms. As yeah, it's moving forward once again. Maybe he'll get some massive Storms here. Oh, omitting a Stalker first is interesting, but the EMP doesn't really land good, like okay, but not great Storms. And with only one High Templar left in that army, I'm slightly worried for PiLiPiLi, although with Ice Wind Colossi, maybe.
Yeah, meanwhile, we do have a double drop here to the northern side of the map. He forces a recall. Nicely done by Vindicta. And I feel like the army that's left remaining is looking quite vulnerable here. Yeah, PiLiPiLi, he's gotta get out of here.
Yes, run as fast as you can. He does have like some army kind of posturing at that 4th base, but it's really not much. And it's nothing that shoots up.
Oh god, the EMPs land. This was such an expensive loss. 4 High Templar are gonna be going down.
That is absolutely huge. He does buy some time with the Archons, and so the Warp Prism will get barely out on 1 hit point, which is insane. But oh man, that's just so much dead High Templar.
Literally 1 HP. I can't believe. Oh my god, almost went down, but just barely managed to survive. It's gonna be so risky to load that up with anything, to be honest. As he does keep it back. Meanwhile, the main army is pushing on forward. At the same time, we do have that double drop hitting that 3rd base once again.
Yeah, PiLiPiLi, he is forcing his way forward, but he's losing so many probes in the background of this, and his army in the front is even getting cleaned up because there just aren't enough zealots, and GG gets called, and Vindicta takes game number 2 as well.
Wow, GG. PiLiPiLi, even though he had those High Templar, he had those Storms, again, just the EMPs were on point. Like, when he dove in, when he had those High Templar in the War Prism, I think he only got 1 Storm off, really, and that was kind of it. We never saw, like, that blanket or consecutive Storms that we usually see from our Protosses.
Exactly. PiLiPiLi just wasn't quite able to land everything perfectly. I'm wondering if he's going to try and mix in something a bit more aggressive once again, because that like aggressive play, I feel like it nearly worked in game number 1. It just like makes a couple of like minor changes, maybe cleans up his attack just a bit, and I feel like it's very easily he could have taken that game 1, and maybe here on Pillars of Gold he might do something similarly aggressive to take game number 3.
Yeah, I would hope so. I would definitely hope so. Again, like, game 1 was so fun. And it always worked. It arguably did work. It's hard to say, but yes, we are getting into game number 3. Vindicta only needs 1 more win to take the entire series.
Yes, I'm getting a little bit worried for my bet because I did put a good number of channel points on the PiLiPiLi. So I might be losing all of those. However, we should probably introduce these players, as the man who might be taking all my channel points away from me is spawning in the top right-hand corner. In blue, playing for Alpha X, he is Vindicta.
And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Pillars of Gold LE, we have the American Protoss player. He is red, representing Genesis Gaming. It is PiLiPiLi. Oh, he's doing it! He's doing it! It's happening!
Ask and ye shall receive. I have been asking for a proxy Rax, as his build has a 100% win rate. I've never seen the strategy lose, at least not while casting. And so hopefully that streak will continue, although it will cost me some channel points. I'm loving this proxy Rax. It is a great way to be aggressive, and while it will eventually be scouted out by this probe on the other side of the map, it's going to take so long to figure out exactly what is coming.
Exactly. I mean, thankfully, PiLiPiLi is going for a probe scout. He didn't decide to skip out on it, so he will be finding out that, hey, you know, the production is not at home. The Rax is missing, so he knows there is some kind of proxy, and we'll see how good the defense will be. We'll see what the response will be from PiLiPiLi.
Yes, and PiLiPiLi, he does see that there's a gas being taken, but that gas, he might have seen that it's just slightly late. He does click on it. You notice a red circle briefly around that gas, and so he knows that not a lot of gas has been mined from that gas just yet. And so he knows that, hey, you know, that gas is very recently taking, but he's taking the natural anyway. That is a bold move, Cotton.
Oh my god. I do think it is really smart that he did click on the gas, because again, Vindicta is kind of faking out his opponent, right? Taking that other gas because it is just a proxy marine rush. But PiLiPiLi taking that natural, we'll see if he's able to hold on to it.
Yeah, getting bunkers started already. I really like this. And while the pylon does see the bunkers, there's a marine here to kind of defend the bunkers, and might even be able to get a second one started. Not sure.
Oh boy, we do have a shield battery on the way and a stalker on the way. There we go. The boys are being pulled. I was about to say, yo, where the boys at? Here they are. Finally, are they going to be able to get us around? Are they going to be able to stop this bunker from going up?
Yeah, it looks like that bunker is going to finish. Oh, and two of them get in. One marine does get caught. Two marines make that now get caught with the SCVs being focused. How this is so many probe decks. Four probes. Oh, the pylon has shield battery's not going to be powered.
Nice focus fire there by Vindicta. I do feel like the probes were pulled a little bit late, and as a result, 4 probes go down. All this lost mining time. The stalker himself is almost dead as well, and oh god, things are looking bad to worse here for PiLiPiLi. It's not over yet though. He can still can still chip away at these marines.
Yes, and another bunker is going up. However, you do have to be cautious with that stalker. Although the shield battery is done now, and you just really have to get the second bunker up. I really would have liked to see a bunker number 2 go up much earlier, but instead sticking on one bunker, and this pressure, it did get a good number of probes with the Rax flying home. And that CC though is so late. I feel like maybe you kind of wanted more out of it.
Yeah, god, I know how I feel about this, man. Like, it is so late, right? It only just now started. So Vindicta, he's trying to transition out of this, but it's so late.
He did get the salvage on that bunker, and so that extra 75 minerals will mean he can, he's a little bit more ahead, but with these barracks flying all the way home and landing, that's a lot of time where he's not building units. He really only has a Widow Mine and a Marine to defend at home.
Definitely, and oh my god, the Widow Mine shot is going to, oh, I thought it was going to be baited out by the probe, but nice micro there by Vindicta. He does keep the Widow Mine shot from going off.
Yes, that is huge. It basically saves Vindicta in this game, and so he is going to get that natural base up. That siege tank will be up, and there was a Marine that did go down. Well, not before 2 more probes did die.
Oh boy, and things are slowly, you know, they're slowing down, and we're getting into the later stages of this game. The CC did finish up for Vindicta. It looks like he will be taking his natural quite a bit later compared to PiLiPiLi. Like, sure, Vindicta got all those probe kills, and sure, he got a bunch of lost mining time, but the important part is that PiLiPiLi got away with that Nexus, right? And due to that Nexus, he's been able to skyrocket ahead in terms of that probe count.
Exactly. These worker lead is quite big for PiLiPiLi. He did lose a bunch early on, but that doesn't really matter now that he's got just such a massive lead, 10 workers ahead, and Vindicta only now getting his second orbital online. He definitely has some coming back to do, but with Stim already on the way and a 2 racks able to make a bunch of Marines, I feel like Vindicta has a good chance of building up an army, maybe getting some sort of really aggressive attack going.
Yeah, I imagine he's going to hit a timing, especially because like he did prioritize this engineering bay here at the natural to start some upgrades. I was about to say that, you know, he has one of two options, right? He can maybe try and hit a timing to deal a bunch of damage, maybe even end the game, or he could try and go for a very fast 3rd CC and try and catch up economically as the game progresses even further.
Exactly, and we do have that starport getting a reactor as well, with a bunch of siege tanks being made. But Blink is finishing up for PiLiPiLi, and so PiLiPiLi may be opting to go for some aggression, as no 3rd base just yet, and that robotics support bay, I think that's what it's called, is on the way, and additionally a 3rd next as well. Man, PvT just has such a economic advantage.
Yeah, Vindicta has to do something about this, because PiLiPiLi, he's taking up with that Robo Bay, as you were saying. He's working on his economy as well, and he's opting not to be too aggressive here. Even though Blink is done, he's keeping his Stalkers at home in case there is that kind of big committed drop coming towards his base, right? Which is something that Vindicta could have been going for. So yeah, PiLiPiLi is just covering all his bases and just macroing up. Meanwhile, Vindicta, he himself is just focusing on his army. A small supply block there, but again, like, we still see no 3rd CC in sight.
Yeah, and I'd love to see that 3rd CC when he can afford it. He's only on like 2 racks and factor and starport making, so eventually he will theoretically be able to afford a 3rd CC, because he's not like really over 3 racks. But PiLiPiLi being just with this big army, oh man, I'm worried.
Yeah, Vindicta, he just scans, he sees that the 3rd Nexus is almost done for PiLiPiLi, and we'll see if that prompts Vindicta to maybe try and deny that 3rd. Is it too late? Potentially. I mean, oh god, also +1 feels like it's a long way away if he wants to try and hit some kind of timing.
Yeah, but PiLiPiLi, he's kind of holding up defensively, and there's no really way for him to die just yet. But he does need to start, if he isn't going to go and try and kill his opponent, he does need to start up a 3rd base here soon.
Exactly. I'm waiting for it, right? Like, Vindicta, what's the plan here? Okay, we do see he does load up a couple of medevacs, so he's going for a drop, which is nice. Potentially he's going to push out with his main army and, yeah, maybe try and multi-prong. I wouldn't be opposed to that. Is it going to work, though?
I'm not 100% sure. This bunker does get salvaged, and the army starts to move out. However, the move out is spotted, but that main double drop was not scouted, and he might even be able to get the stalkers. It looks like he would just barely miss each other, stimming after them only now. Nice Blink's back, but with the army spotted out, he's just the Colossus are here, and so this drop isn't going to do too much more.
Exactly, there's a Colossus, there's a shield battery, there's overcharge available, and by the time the attack happens, yo, this disruptor is so close to popping out.
There are 4 tanks, excuse me, and that is a lot of AoE, and it also provides a lot of zoning, as I believe tanks and disruptors are similarly ranged, and so you might be able to do something there. But PiLiPiLi jumping on this army, the tanks are firing at that back line. However, the disruptor shot hasn't gone off and completely whiffs. Nice focus fire by PiLiPiLi. Boys have been pulled, and there really isn't that much AoE left over here.
This is true, but you know what? I feel like the boys are too late. GG gets called, and PiLiPiLi finally puts a point on the board.
And nicely done by PiLiPiLi. Unlucky by Vindicta to lose doing the Imba strat. That doesn't happen too often, but...
Look, I'm going to go on the record and say that I feel like if Vindicta committed to it, I think he would have fared a little bit better. But that transition out of it felt so late. It felt so delayed. And we saw him struggle after that failed proxy, right? Struggle to, you know, get his natural up and running and get into the mid game. And we saw he was just, it did feel like he was behind in every respect.
Yeah, a bit unlucky for him. However, he didn't quite have that transition timed out perfectly. But instead, you know, he had a 2-game lead, so he does have a couple of games he could lose before he has to be really that worried. And this time on Oxide, I feel like this is a really great Terran map in general. And so this is gonna be the one to I feel like this might be one where he plays a bit more standard in like either a macro game, or this will be the one where he commits like, yeah, I'm just gonna proxy 4 racks across the map and try and kill you.
Yeah, I 100% agree in that Oxide is more Terran favorite here, so if like this is a really nice map for Vindicta to really play solidly and just close this out, right? And this is where if you're PiLiPiLi, what do you do here? Because it's more because it's more of a Terran favorite map, do you go for a proxy? But you're on match point is the problem, right? Like, do you risk it all and do that if you're PiLiPiLi on Oxide? Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. As you know, one thing we haven't seen so far today is that proxy starport void ray super battery thing that is somewhat trendy nowadays, and so maybe that will be something PiLiPiLi pulls out. But like you said, it's so risky to do that sort of thing that I don't know. We're gonna have to wait and see. As PiLiPiLi, he did ask for a break, and so we got a little bit of time to fill.
That we do. We can kind of theory craft as to what our players are going to do here. Again, Vindicta still just needs one more game to move on to those finals, but PiLiPiLi, you know, he may have a little bit of momentum going his way, finally taking a map. Maybe he can just take that to maybe take this map and then go all the way to that ace match. I know a lot of people, I'm sure yourself included, are like, yo, let's make the reverse sweep happen just so I can save my channel points.
Yeah, I mean, if I lose my channel points, I won't be too offended. However, it's I just want good games, honestly, and like it's never fun to see a like complete 3-0 like dominant sweep. Well, that is like somewhat satisfying to see, especially for the fans of the like player who's doing 3-0ing. It's less StarCraft, and I'm generally a fan of more StarCraft.
Definitely, especially of a certain kind of StarCraft. Like, again, like game one so far has been the highlight of my night. Game one and like the high tempo control from Disc was just crazy. But we'll see if we can get into something that can top that.
Yeah, these players, you know, hey, who knows, maybe PiLiPiLi and Vindicta will get like some super scrappy, like 30-minute long best or single map here on Oxide. You never know, and so and to wait and see what these players have in store, because you know there's so many like things you can do nowadays in a TVP, and like Terran is like you're kind of forced to like try and either go for Widow Mine drop or like a Hellion drop or some sort of 3 racks. Protoss just like has you can go for like Blink, Charge, Adepts, Dark Templar, Stargate, or even straight Immortals. That just with that variety there.
Definitely. Really, we've only touched the surface of what these players could be doing. You know, we could be seeing like even a more committed like Widowmine drop with even an armory behind it, so you need detection to clean them up, or some kind of like strong committed push with that as well. Or when it comes to Protoss, as you were saying, you know, proxy Stargate with void rays and shield batteries. It's absolutely disgusting, but it works.
It does indeed. Speaking of things that work, this man maybe having to go back to something that worked a little bit better for him, as spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, having lost the previous game. Let's give it up for Alpha X's Vindicta.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Oxide LE, we have the American Protoss player. He is red, representing Genesis Gaming, putting a point on the board. Could this be the beginning of a comeback? It is PiLiPiLi.
Much to my disappointment, there aren't a bunch of SCVs heading across the map just yet. Instead, that racks will be built at home, but I will live with my disappointment, as we will probably have a rather interesting macro game on our hands.
Yeah. Again, we saw our one for the evening. I feel we saw the proxy racks. That's it. We're done. We'll see if Vindicta does it again later on. Maybe if he does make it to the finals against Disc, but doing it again against PiLiPiLi, I don't know if that's the wisest of choice. We'll see.
Yeah, especially because that hold was just so clean by PiLiPiLi. I feel like he just really defend like his probe pull was a little bit late, but other than that, I feel like he did a really excellent job just keeping everything defended. And so maybe Vindicta should be rightly scared to proxy again, unless he's going for something really committed. But this time going for a Reaper, which is not something we've seen too much of tonight.
Yeah, this is very standard, and as you said, it's just not been what the Terrans have been doing here when it comes to Semper and Vindicta. So yeah, really interesting to see Vindicta play this a lot more straight up on Oxide. I guess again due to the map, you know, why not?
Exactly. As this SCV kind of gets in and scouts everything, and PiLiPiLi having delayed scouting entirely this time around is definitely a interesting decision to go for that no scout. It doesn't help your economy out so much as a both Protoss and Terran to skip that scout, because you just get all those extra minerals, and so everything just lines up a little bit smoother. But Vindicta wanting to play it safe, and PiLiPiLi opting to say, you know what, you're not going to proxy me 2 games in a row, right?
Yeah, and ooh, I love this from Vindicta. I've seen this pop up quite a bit over the weekend. A lot of Terran players have been doing this. We have Marauders coming out with Concussive Shell.
Oh man, this is something you don't see too terribly often. I wonder if this is going to be the all right, so Disrespect to Terran I mentioned earlier on in the broadcast in Code, he has a version of this where you end up with like 4 probes in the natural, and it's like hyper all-in Marauder attack. And so I wonder if this is the hyper all-in version, or if it's going to be a bit more macro-focused. We're going to have to wait and see as basically on what Vindicta's probe count ends up being, as Marauders are now waddling across that map, and I love this.
Yeah, this does mean that this isn't anywhere near as committed. I imagine he's going to move out with a handful of Marauders, and again, with those Marauders, you can focus down the Stalkers, you can focus down the Pylon as well, depower any kind of shoe battery. Oh my god, a Dark Shrine is thrown down in the natural.
Oh, this is gonna be interesting, as Dark Templar versus like early Marauder pushes are not something you see every day, and this army's building up, and Vindicta making a bunker. Maybe, is he just like staying home with his push, or like I'd love to see him move out.
I'm shook right now if he decides to stay home with these Marauders. Like, he rushed out Concussive Shell, mate, go across the map, deal some damage. There's nothing here to defend that would have been able to stop the Marauders. Like, the Marauders would have breezed through both of these Stalkers, depowered everything, taken out even potentially the Dark Shrine if he wanted to, or just focus down some probes. But whatever it is, Vindicta, he sniffs something and he doesn't feel confident enough. Instead, he's just building up that army, maybe waiting for Stim instead.
Yeah, and maybe with Stim he gets there, but with the 1 Marine, he's going to see that, hey, there's not a whole lot here. As like, I still feel like if he moved out now, he could still hit a nice timing, but with Warp Gate now finished, he's going to be getting like 3 more Stalkers at a time defensively. Yeah. And that Dark Shrine's also done. Man, maybe that window closing just a bit. But with Stim nearing completion, there's still a good opportunity for him to get something done, and he's making more Marauders. And so this is, while a very scary army, maybe not quite what I would have done personally.
Yeah, and the problem is that now the DTs are being morphed in, and now Vindicta has to be defensive at home, and you know what? He does not have enough energy for scans. Oh no.
Oh no. That engineering bay is not done. The DT is getting so much damage done here in the natural. Only now is that NG bay finishing, and while missile turret is on the way, their DT's in the main base as well. Oh no.
This is disastrous for Vindicta again. Like, this could have been such a different game if he was a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more assertive, but instead he decided to stay home, and he pays the price for it as the DTs are coming in, forces 1 scan, 8 SCVs already going down, and again, like, he doesn't even have enough scans to deal with all these DTs.
Yeah, no, the DTs are so spread out. Oh man, this is such a feels bad moment, as so much was going at Vindicta's way, and he does get the scan off, and it looks like he will get both the Dark Templar. However, you can just warp in more Dark Templar here, and with Blink on the way, I feel like once this Blink finishes, we might get the death knell for Vindicta, as he does need to build up that defense, and these DTs are just doing so much.
Yeah, and Vindicta, he just has to stay at home, and more damage is being done, and just, oh my god, forces to cancel on the missile turret. The production is under threat, and this is all with just a single DT. And as you're saying, behind this, like, PiLiPiLi's taking up, he's taking a 3rd base, he's working on Colossus, working on Blink. Oh my god.
The DTs just sending in 1 by 1. Finally, this next DT will be killed. However, there is already another in the mineral line. Oh man, Vindicta.
Look, I don't want to call it early, like, but oh god, we're watching Vindicta die slowly in real time right now, and oh god, finally he's able to deal with the DT. Finally he cleans everything up, but like, look at the disparity in workers. Like, again, like, he was ramping up for this big attack, and he was unable to hit it at all. He was forced to stay at home.
Yeah, really unlucky by Vindicta. He just like he had so much potential with this build, and then everything sort of fell apart for him as PiLiPiLi is now up like 20 workers. And it's just GG gets called.
Vindicta, he sent a Marine across the map. He saw the third, he saw the Colossus. Nope, GG. That's it. We're going to that ace match.
And more StarCraft is good. PiLiPiLi winning 2 in a row. Now, will PiLiPiLi be able to make it 3 in a row? Will he complete the reverse sweep, or will Vindicta win that final game? I'd love to see. Like, I would love to see if Vindicta just like went for it. Like, go like do the same build on this final map. I don't actually remember what the map is. Scroll for it though. Jagannatha. Like, all right, so on Jagannatha, go for like the 3 racks Marauder thing once again, but this time commit. Like, just immediately, like, wait for maybe 2 Marauders and just immediately go across the map.
Yeah, it's one of those things where like that would have been great to do in the previous game, but doing it here in the ace match, it can be a little bit risky if PiLiPiLi blind counters, right? Like, will PiLiPiLi call him on his bluff and assume that that's what he's going to be going for? Will he be a little bit more defensive? Oh god, like the amount of stress going through both these players right now as we are in this ace match. Like, it could go either way. We could even see someone just have balls of steel and just go for a proxy in the ace match as well on Jagannatha. Oh god.
You know, that would be interesting. I feel like if this would be the map that PiLiPiLi goes for that like proxy Stargate Void Ray shenaniganery on, which is the bajillion steel batteries, and because this is I feel like one of the better maps in the pool for, although it's hard to have a bad map for it. This is maybe a better map for it, and so we might see that weird cheese out of PiLiPiLi. Vindicta might say, hey, you know, if I just like build 2 more racks on this side of the map, I can just win with like 4 racks Marine. A lot of potential here.
It's possible, especially because I believe it was last game where PiLiPiLi didn't go for a probe scout, right? PiLiPiLi is like, you're not going to proxy me 2 games in a row, and likewise he could have the same mentality in the ace match. You're not going to proxy me in the ace match, and that's when you do it.
Exactly, and so we're gonna have to wait and see exactly what these players have in store for us. I believe all the players are now ready, and so we are loading into our ace match, our final semifinal.
Oh boy,
I'm excited.
Yeah, this is the way it should be. Game number 5. We're tied up 2-2. This could go either way. Will we have a PvP finals, or will we have another PvT?
Yeah, we are going to have to wait and see. As those of you out there who don't want that mirror finals, you better be cheering for this man in the top right-hand corner in the blue, playing for Alpha X and America. Give it up for Vindicta.
And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Jagannatha LE, we have the American Protoss player. He is red, representing Genesis Gaming. Just winning 2 games in a row. Can he make it 3? Can he make the reverse sweep happen? It is PiLiPiLi.
So far, not a proxy. And so there's still a lot of potential for aggression here, but oh, and the probe scout. All right, so PiLiPiLi, he's like, yeah, I risked it last game. I'll make the safe play this time around and just go for that probe scout. Just make sure you're not doing anything too aggressive.
Yeah, fair. Understandable. Completely understandable. And he decides not to cut any corners here. Both players going for their worker scouts. Both players making sure that everything is up and up on the other side of the map.
Exactly, because just like if you don't go for the probe scout and you lose like some weird proxy racks, I always like just feels bad as a player when you're just like, oh man, if I had just done this one thing. It's super easy to do, but he gets here, he sees everything looks relatively normal. Both players having worker fights, and I wonder which worker slot fight will go which way. As maybe, one probe dies, and on the other side of things, that other probe will leave. All right, and so Vindicta getting first blood, starting out nicely, getting a probe for free.
Yeah, nicely done there by Vindicta, taking a small lead. Not the biggest of leads, but you know, it's definitely something you can take with you. And we do see this time, once again, he is going for his initial Reaper.
Reaper into Marine. I really like this, and it's probably going to be a factory here in the not too distant future, as that is quite a lot of gas that's being built up. And so I'm curious, and there it is. That factory is going down now, and it's probably I'd expect to see a reactor and just kind of normal Terran things, as this Reaper is going to get in and scout the lack of tech, at least so far.
Ooh, so far it is denied by the Stalker. Nicely done by PiLiPiLi. He was ready and waiting for that Reaper. To be fair, there's nothing really to be scattered at the moment, so Vindicta just has to keep this Reaper alive and sneak into the main. And ooh, he does actually avoid the Stalker.
And nicely done, just kind of juking and jiving to get around that Stalker. The Stalker's just wandering across the map, which I like. But with that Twilight Council being the tech of choice here for PiLiPiLi, I'm wondering if it's going to be repeated game 1 or if he's going to do something much more standard with that Blink build.
That's the thing. That's the scary thing for Vindicta, right? Like, even if you scout a Twilight Council early on, oh my god, is this DTs again, right? Like, PiLiPiLi has done it enough where that's got to be going through your mind.
Exactly, and this, however, he does get an he sees it finish up, and Blink does start right away, and they're using a chrono on it, and so if he sees that, like, PiLiPiLi would have to be an absolute madman to cancel Blink here, and it looks like he'll let it continue.
Cancel it. Oh god, he doesn't. You're right. You know, he would have to be like insane. It would have to be Ravi playing right now if he were to cancel Blink and throw down a Dark Shrine. So yeah, he is going for it.
Honestly, I think like that is just the biggest Chad move on the planet, and so I'm partly disappointed he didn't do it. But regardless, we are going to have an instant game as this Helion's going to go in and try and go for a rescout. However, the Stalkers look like they're able to deny it. Some nice moves by PiLiPiLi.
Yeah, solid body blocking there by PiLiPiLi. The Hellion doesn't get into the main base, and that does mean that in the back of Vindicta's mind, it could be DTs. Like, he's got no goddamn idea. And we see maybe that could be playing into why Vindicta is opening up with a Raven.
Yeah, I like the Raven build. It is a good defensive build. He's getting also a tank and a bunch of wrecks. So Vindicta opting to play relatively safe. And by relative, I mean extremely safe. As no third base just yet. If you wanted to take a risk here, like maybe against the potential DT, he'd go for some sort of like third racks instead of third CC instead of adding 2 racks. But just getting a Raven, adding a bunch of racks, Vindicta building up quite a big army here.
Yeah, definitely. And he doesn't even send the Raven across the map to, I don't know, harass with auto turrets or anything like that. So being very defensive right now, and I don't blame him. It feels like when it comes to the more straight up games that go into the mid game and we have the 2 armies engaging with each other, Vindicta has been able to come out on top as long as he hasn't taken too much damage early on. So he's playing to his strengths right now. He's trying to get into that mid game unhindered and unopposed.
Yes, and this first observer does go in and even goes down, nicely done. Meanwhile, as you were just pointing out, the third base is up and spotted by that Marine. And so Vindicta knows basically what's going on for PiLiPiLi. He doesn't know about the robotics bay just yet, but he can probably assume that that's what's going on, as generally speaking, the third base and the robotics bay around similar times, at least in all our games today.
Yeah, definitely. Meanwhile, PiLiPiLi is pushing out with his Stalkers. There is a backup observer coming in as well to allow PiLiPiLi to blink into the main base if he so chooses. Meanwhile, Vindicta, he is nicely set up with a tank both covering the natural and the main base, so it's going to be difficult to really achieve much here, but it looks like he will at least get 1 depot.
And 1 depot, maybe even getting a second. As the Stalkers, losing a Stalker there for a depot, so not an ideal trade. Generally speaking, a Stalker is a bit more valuable than a supply depot. And the recall comes out, just getting the army home safely as a drop starting to maybe move out here for Vindicta.
Yeah, there we go. We do have a double drop on the way. I'm not too sure if Vindicta, I mean, he's checking with his Marines, but the Stalkers have left, so he is free to expand if he so chooses. Still no third CC, which is a little bit odd to me, especially because he had eyes on this third Nexus. He even has this Raven here to confirm the mining going on. So instead, it looks like Vindicta is going for this strong 2 base. Okay, push. Behind this, we do have that third CC.
And so Vindicta opting to build it on location, and so any sort of counterattack will delay that. However, Vindicta has such a scary push hit happening right now that I do not see a world in which PiLiPiLi has the room to get any sort of delay on that, as there are so many tanks here. 3 tanks and a really big bio army. I would be worried for the PiLiPiLi fans.
Yeah, definitely. But what's important is that PiLiPiLi saw this coming a mile away with his observers, so he's well aware that the army was coming. He even sees it sieging up outside his third base. At the same time, yo, this Raven almost picked off. This Raven is so important, especially if it comes from behind and actually disables those Colossus.
I'd love to see that, and it looks like he's going in. Oh, gets one disable, but not the second. Bit unfortunate. He will get a Colossus Horse Trouble. So Colossus for Raven is a pretty good trade. MP6 tank still shelling away at this army. I'm liking Vindicta's position a bit more, although without that Raven, this push gets very difficult to continue.
Oh, that it does, but at the same time, there is a small drop hitting the main base, forcing a couple of warpins in the main at home, and yo, that third is getting low.
Yes, a couple workers do get pulled, and the third base goes down. That is really unfortunate for PiLiPiLi. As Vindicta getting that third base, getting that economic edge, but with 2 Colossi now, this push gets so much harder to sustain.
Yeah, he needs to leave soon. Like, he's barely got any bio remaining to really protect these tanks, and losing 3 tanks would be a pretty big loss. As we see the Zealots, they are going around the side of the map. They get on top of the tanks, and they will clean this up.
Oh man, I really wonder if PiLiPiLi just backed up for a second there. He had another army coming, so if he just decided that, hey, you know what, I'll give this position for now, save my 3 tanks, and then meet up with this army that is now kind of in position and have 5 tanks to really put on a lot of pressure while he drops into the main base. And this main base is still... This main base drop has still done so much denied mining time, but this army is once again back here at the third.
Yeah, PiLiPiLi, he moved the majority of his army into the main base. He left his third completely exposed. He thought that he had weathered the storm. He thought that that was it for the aggression from Vindicta, but it looks like there may just be enough here. Oh god, it looks like the third, it will stay alive. It will survive, or will it?
There's another army here, but both of the tanks that were sieged go down, so now there's only 1 tank left, and Vindicta, he does have an army here. He does have a presence, and with this group in the main base, once again pulling PiLiPiLi apart, and so much of it is depowered. Another pylon going down, depowering basically all the production.
Oh,
I feel like PiLiPiLi is in a bit of trouble.
Yeah, like what's insane is that this drop it was never even a full drop. I'm pretty sure that these 3 units were it for like the entire time. This one drop of this half drop has done so much for Vindicta, so much damage, really pulling PiLiPiLi apart, delaying +2 as everything is depowered, and Vindicta, he's just rallying across the map. He wants to end it.
Yeah, hip 1A as that robotics facility is starting to get pressure. There is a siege tank and a liberator in position, and the Colossi all go down. The robotics bay goes down, and GG gets called, and Vindicta takes the game and the series.
GG, well played, Vindicta. Things were looking really scary for him. Like, PiLiPiLi was bringing it back, you know, winning 2 games in a row, going all the way to that ace match, and Vindicta's third base being delayed so long there. Things were really looking scary when, if you recall, when that Raven like kind of poked forward a little bit and actually took a couple of stalker shots. But as soon as that disable happened, Vindicta turned things on. He was able to take out that third, drop in multiple places at once. That was amazing. That was beautiful.
Yeah, no, Vindicta really nicely done, but in that game, as he just played it. He was cool, calm, and collected in that series there, as he just he lost the 2 games in a row, and he was able to take it back in the final one, deny the reverse sweep, and Vindicta, with that early lead he got, was able to burn those games with slightly cheeky builds. So I'm wondering how that series would have gone if PiLiPiLi had taken game number 1. But that's in the past, as we do have a best of 7 ahead of us between Disc and Vindicta, I believe it was, if I'm not insane.
I believe so. Yes, the finals will be a best of 7. Again, congratulations to Vindicta, and he does deny that mirror matchup finals. He does stop the PvP from happening. We will have nothing but PvTs today, and now we're getting into that scenario that's a little bit worrisome, because Disc was able to sit back and watch that entire series. He saw how Vindicta played. Likewise, Vindicta could also do the same with Disc versus Semper. So we're getting into a really weird scenario where both players are well aware of how each other plays, and they're both going to be able to, or they're both going to try to adapt as fast as possible, as best they can in this series.